Do you think Carlo Ancelotti, my goat, no slander on this podcast about Don Carlo, but do you think he fumbled the ball by not starting Rudiger?
I think so.
Ooh.
I think that was a weird decision considering how well he played against Holland in the first leg. I don't really know. That something was there any reports on why he didn't play? Like why? It makes no sense to me.
So I think it's just because Militao was able to play today, and he's done Militao's done really well for Real Madrid. There's a lot of R's there that I'm trying
Yeah.
to get out. And I think that now that he was available, Ancelotti put him back in the starting 11. But it was interesting. Rio Ferdinand said on a broadcast prior to the game that in that first leg between the two teams, he says he's never seen anyone shut down Holland the way Rudiger did, and we spoke to that on Kicked Back, right? Like, Waz, you were mentioning how well, the reason why Holland, quote unquote, may have ghosted that game wasn't because Holland ghosted. It might have been because Rudiger did so well. So, Rio Ferdinand said that if Real Madrid lose today, it's going to be on Ancelotti for not starting
Yeah.
Rudiger. And then obviously we saw at the end of the game, unfortunately, Militao had an own goal. The storylines, but I wanted to know what you guys think. If Rudiger should have had that look after that first leg performance.
100%. And I thought the exact same thing when I didn't even notice that he wasn't in the lineup until I watched him come in, and I went, how is he not in this match? And you probably noticed it even more after realizing that he wasn't in there, because Holland was a little bit more noticeable in this
Yeah.
match. He just didn't finish his opportunities, especially early in the match and in the first half. And if Real Madrid has a better start defensively, or at least preventing any type of offensive magic or offensive momentum for Man City, this might be a different game. This might be a different conversation we're having. And that probably starts with the fact that Rudiger in the first leg, when they talk about playing in the shadow of a player, that is beyond what Rudiger was. He was the shadow of Erling Haaland in the first leg. And you didn't have that in this leg, and you see an massive score line. So yeah, I was very shocked by that, and kind of disappointed that we weren't able to see that.
Yeah, and the first leg, Erling Haaland only had 0.26 expected goals, only two shots, both on target. He won 2 out of 3 aerial duels, and if I quickly get to the stats of his game today without Rudiger on the pitch, he had 1.16 expected goals. He had 3 out of 4 shots, and his aerial duels 2 out of 3. So kind of similar to the same. He was just able to create more chances, and his rating also was a 7.2 today. While it was like under 7 in the first leg. So things, yeah, Erling Haaland had a much better game compared to the first leg with Rudiger not on the pitch for most of the game.
Yeah, it's tough. I don't think it's all on Carlo, and I'm not just saying that because I love him, but like defensively, I obviously think Real Madrid could have been better, but also offensively, right? Like just the whole, they didn't have any type of imminent chance or threat on net. Do you know what I mean? Like not what we're normally used to seeing with, aside from Tony Cruz, or Cross. I know everyone pronounces his last name differently. I just call him Big Tony because it's easier. But like that was, that crossbar, and then maybe even like I said, that ball through to Benzema that he didn't really get on the end of. I think it was just a whole team performance. Like Rudiger, maybe he would have added a little bit more. Maybe he wouldn't have. I think it's easy to say after the game based off of like Militao scoring that own goal, but it sucks for Rudiger because he did so well in that first leg that it probably would have been great to see him again here on the second leg. Do I think it would have made that big of a difference? I don't, because I just think City was on another level today.
It was very noticeable from the start of the game that Real Madrid was out of it.
Yes.
Or at least Man City was on a different level. And I think maybe, and again, this is full of hypotheticals, that if you were able to get a guy like Rudiger or whoever to step up defensively on guys like Holland, on Bernardo Silva, because Camavinga didn't do the same job he did in the first leg, and same with Carvajal on Grealish too. I think if they were able to defensively be a little bit more sound in the first 15 minutes, it's a different match.
Yeah, and I feel like City's fans were the 12th man. Like the Man City's fans today were nuts. Like they were so loud. Anytime Real Madrid touched the ball, they'd whistle. I just feel like You know how we were talking about on the first leg on Kicked Back, we were saying how intimidating it must go into Real Madrid's house, and like you're inside the quote unquote king of the Champions League's house right now. You're on their pitch, their territory. I feel like Real Madrid must have felt intimidated today being inside the Etihad.